And we are back live on your screens for Forze taking on Heroic. Our second game of the PGL RMR closed qualifiers. Still a best of one, but hopefully this one will be smooth sailing. We'll cross our fingers and toes, Vince, and hope for no lag as we get into Anubis.
Yeah, special shout out to the admins who've been working super hard to make sure this is smooth. So fingers crossed it stays that way. And Heroic on that T side already occupying through on middle. Shalfie gets a stray bullet to the dome. He has to back out of there on 3 HP. And although Kielen has spotted a couple of players hopping across, and he has Result there as well, Nikodos is going to put him down with authority, taking the advantage for Heroic and trying to force their way over onto the site now. There's not much that the Force can do to stop this either.
Okay then. 5 versus 4. But low HP for the CTs. Very much a gamble of a retake. That's if they did want to go for it. Across the board, there's been light investment into this one. You've got 3 kits of Kevlar. So not wanting to just throw away the body armor and defend those dualies as well. The light investment there into both of those pistols. So in a matter of seconds, Heroic, after laying claim to a single frag, have taken the pistol round and will secure this one to start off Anubis here. So the Heroic roster already finding success. Nikodos as well. He's been really quite special on pistol rounds. I think statistically, again, he was another one of the players that collectively, out of all of the qualifiers, was sporting a very, very positive stat line over the course of the entire thing. I think it was 5 or 6 maps played in total for him to secure his qualification. And he looked pretty damn good. We only had an opportunity to see this Heroic roster once or twice, but overall we were pretty impressed with them, Vince. So it bodes well going into today's BO1.
Yeah, precisely. It was like one of those teams, one of the main talking points. I think it could be said for the close qualifiers as well. There's a lot of unknowns. Like the roster mania was serious with CS2 as well, being just a different game. A lot of players that maybe don't shine as bright as they did on CSGO. But Heroic, for me, were one of those teams that actually impressed me the most. I didn't know what to expect from this roster, but they looked pretty damn good whenever we casted them. And as you said, Nikodos, whether it's the AWP, whether it's the rifles or the pistols, this guy is going to deliver in clutches, in entries, whatever you need from him. But another player I was very impressed with was Nerds. He was having some great performances early on as well, and certainly a player that I'm going to be looking out for in these closed qualifiers, especially as Heroic on this T side of Anubis may need some of his fragging prowess to break this defense. It is a Force buy from Forze, by the way, and they have 2 MP9s and a FAMAS with a couple of 5.7, so this is a potentially very dangerous purchase that Heroic are walking into.
Nades over the top. Shush looking for the entry. Does secure one as Resol will be shaken out of commission. Battle back with the pistols though, and the nade might actually be decisive. Beautiful bounce on that. Arcs round the corner, tags up most of Heroic, and sends them tucking their tail and turning towards the other site, running the whole way over and seeing if they can lay claim. Ooh. Problem is, you're going to be somewhat battered on entry if they don't instantly find this opening pick, and all of them have caught whiff about the rotation. With only 20 seconds left on the clock as well, you're now running through an absolute wall of CTs. This is not going to get any easier. Nerds overwhelmed by the MP9. Kicksan diving around the corner, strikes onto one, but he's got to commit on the plant. They can push together, should find the frag, and equalize 1 round apiece. So the 5-7 and the HE towards the entryway, denying any sort of play for Heroic into the round, Vince. The choke point control looking very good for them there.
Indeed, and that's exactly why they went for that save so early on. They made the call the second the A site was taken. We're going to pull the plug, we're going to save a few Kevlar here, some Julies as well. And that's why it allowed them to get such a better buy into that second round. And now it's Heroic that have real trouble. They were down to $1,400, $1,500 on multiple players. So they pretty much have to go for a Force as opposed to a double eco. So they're coming back with scouts at Mach 10, some Deagles, some Tech 9s, but more importantly, a complete lack of investment in terms of utility. One smoke, one flash. It's going to be very difficult to dethrone Forze in their positions with such little grenades at your disposal. And already some shrapnel being administered to Kicksan's kneecap. So he's been dropped down to 60. Testis alongside him has been tagged. So it's looking pretty grim early doors here for Heroic. They walked into the stack. They were sent packing with authority. And now Forze have everything up to them. They've got plenty of utility on 2 players. Bit of damage done, but Tina is going to throw in the smoke. and just blockade off any potential push.
So a mixed bag. Light investment into a few probing tools, really. The Scout for Nikodos, the MAC-10 for Kigsan, everyone else just with the pistols. A single smoke for Tessus. Maybe that could be somewhat beneficial to Celarus, sell the idea of a potential play. It's going to be dropped back over, given to Nikodos, so he has it in his possession. Flashbang in the hands of Kigsan. They test the waters as they walk their way out and get contact. Few shots rattled off from the AK, and they begin to back off, looking for a late finish up through the B canals towards the bomb site. Oh, Vince, the timing on a Molotov is going to ruin them. You're going to have only about 18 to 17 seconds left once this dissipates. It's not going to be too great on a push. They need to get in and get that bomb down absolutely ASAP. Side swipe, though, as Keeley will go for the swing. And they're just being battered on the bomb site, not ready to clear towards the back of the pillars, and one by one they fall. The saving grace is you did get the bomb down, and maybe Nerds could pull off a bit of a monstrous flank if they can buy time.
But Shush is doing very well. He landed the first eagle. That's going to buy up enough time from now to wrap around the back. They don't have any ideas. No one's watching towards this position. It's going to be difficult for him to thread this many shots together. It's so frustrating if you Nerds. You wish you had an AK or a Galil or just something that could pump out the automatic fire. They did get 2 casualties, and as you highlighted, Jacky, a bomb plant there, not too shabby. The problem is it was a forced buy. So it's not as if that was some kind of half-buy eco situation where a buyer affords them the luxury of a full purchase. They're $3,000. And I don't think they've done enough economic damage with 3K and below to justify force buying and running it back. So even though Forze lost 2 casualties and conceded a bomb plant, all things considered, they're not too bothered about that because they now have a rock-solid buy, and Heroic have it all to do again. But we're at least seeing some warning shots fired out here, Jacky, that Heroic, even when they're down, even when they're struggling, they're still a threat you have to contend with. You can't take them lightly.
No, it's looking like there really could be quite a close game on our hands here between these two. And it would be fun to watch. Our first affair, Cloud9 OG, pretty lopsided in the way it was played. Only a few rounds of bites back from OG. Here, there could be an exchange of blows. This game at the minute for the T side has been heavily focused on the extremities. Early lurk play towards A, going for late finishes on B. Relatively rinse and repeat. This time, the utility is mostly offensive. A lot of HEs. Only 2 smokes, single flashbang. It's Nerds that's got 1 set up. You can smoke off Temple towards the B site. The other 3 players grouped up towards mid as well. That's a deep smoke going over towards camera side. Going to block off that rotation. They throw all this noise towards mid. They drop and push connector. The entry's sick though. Tessus opens it up. And now you're trapped between 2 mines. You realize you're being pushed from B main and from connector itself. And they crumble, Vince. Beautiful entries there for Heroic.
Yeah, and Tierney was spotted from the backside of Shadows. That's when they went for the pre-fire from main side. Really well played by Heroic. A couple of flub lines from Force, perhaps. You could argue their utility needs to be better placed and better timings, but sometimes that run and gun from the Tech-9 is just far, far too powerful. And they're actually forcing him away. The audacity to peek with the Tech-9, tag up go Kushima with the AWP, force him away back onto the site. Impressively done. And Heroic, they're going to tie us up at 2 apiece. No casualties, but only 2 kills in return means that they're not going to come out of this round with tons of rifles. They do have an AK and M4 save, though, which is very nice indeed. And the options of maybe extending to an AWP in the next round. Gokushima needs to be careful, though. Shush with that dig is no joke. He could rip his head clean off. And any more casualties here would be a problem. But Gokushima holds the line, shuts him down, and they will save those 3 weapons. Game is well and truly on, however. This is super close, and that economic situation on both teams, not fully stabilized just yet. This is on a razor's edge to kick things off on Anubis.
The metronome already swinging back and forth. Seeing some sick shots from either side. So everyone's warmed up. Everyone's looking good going into this. It bodes well. Okay. AWP donned as well. Scope stationed towards the B side. Wow. Tessus. He was looking for a very rapid entry. Goes for the wide swing, but Shalfi picks that one up. Denies it. Hits the shot on the Kalashnikov and is able to back off. Meanwhile, it's a contact play for Gokushima. He's walking the whole way up. Pre-scoped in as to not give out the audio cue and just hoping he'll peek into him. But Vince, oh, mate, a swing and a miss. The uppercut does not connect, and Nertz takes him down.
That's a vital kill as well. So much time left on the clock, and that's going to spread those CTs more thin. They have to toss out the smokes just to feel a little bit more comfortable. And this is all utility that will not be available to them later on in the round. Still 2 smokes and an incendiary. But the timing as Kellyan comes round the corner and Nikados on that AK punishes him accordingly. Resalt, good kill. Gonna be pushing the smoke though. Making tons of noise. Had no right to get Kixan's life, but has spun this round on its head. And that's the bomb drop on top of it. A catastrophe for Heroic.
All the audio cues in the world for Shalfie. He knows exactly where they are. Lines them up and tries to knock them down. Nertz ready for the push, but not quick enough as they just barrel roll into them. Vince, this is a game where the smallest of details in individual plays is deciding so much. Big moments of just sheer carnage with the way they're playing it. They're willing to go for pushes. They're willing to go for swings. We're seeing players peeking out with utility in their hands, not quite ready for the timing. This is a weird one. This is shaping up to be a very spicy game of CS.
Yeah, and I think Heroic are going to be face-palming so hard because when Resalt pushes that smoke, he was heard from a mile off. That trade goes against him. That's the bomb that drops with him. I think it was Kixan that lost his life. And that basically was the round right there, just deemed forfeit. It's honestly one where Heroic can look back on this and think, we really should be winning this. Like, that has to be our round. It would have broken Force. It would have given them a great position themselves. Instead, they're back onto 2 AKs in a full-on Force themselves. And we know that Anubis T-side can yield a lot of rounds. So already the pressure mounting on Heroic as they're going to go in for that boost. I believe they have spotted Shalfie. It's good spray from Nertz. So the opening pick does go the way of the T's. But they have to be careful. Resalt coming through that smoke. This time it does get punished.
Oh no, Nertz spraying wildly, takes down his own teammate. Luckily, the Molotov still burns brightly and denies the flank. Nertz, trying to avenge his fallen brethren, swings again and strikes towards middle, taking down another man. Gokushima, running through the camera smoke, is silenced by Shush. But again, this is another round where it's hanging in the balance. Second by second, so many small nuances. We had the team kill from Nertz, the Molotov with a final tag as it took down the last player trying to respond and trade again towards middle. It feels like it is just a game being won off the back of trades right now, Vince. It really is down to the very small details.
No, 100%, man. And that's kind of why we were looking at this game and thinking it would be an interesting one, because on paper, I think it's very close. It's a hard one to call. Forze currently ranked around 30th in the world. Yes, they've had roster changes, etc. in the past, but still a solid lineup. The likes of Shalfie, you're expecting to do pretty big things. He's had a good game so far. Interestingly, only died 1 time, by the way, even though it lost 3 rounds. I think that's going to change here as it is a full-on eco. Ooh, Resalt with a tasty deke. And this is a 2-on-2. They've picked up an 8K, albeit both of the CTs are on low HP, but they've actually got a chance. Timing could be a huge part of that repeak on the AWP, or the Deagle, I should say, from Gokushima, but it won't be working out for him. And Heroic will get the round and breathe a collective sigh of relief, because that was nearly a complete nightmare.
Mate, this is absolutely balmy. It feels like we've just got 2 teams that are headbutting each other. They're just running at one another at the start of each round, playing very fast, very aggressive CS. The epitome of CS2 Anubis, when you've got confidence on either side, really. You want to take every single fight. You don't want to be caught slipping, caught holding angles. You want to be the one instigating it. So the CTs are peaking, the Ts are running in, playing Wolfpack CS when they feel like they've got an edge. We're seeing just how important pistols can be as well, because they still pack a punch, they still slap if you can land your shots. And that was nearly a round where, again, it could have gone either way. Forza were clamoring towards grabbing that one. At least the dust will settle. And we'll see where it goes from here. Heroic pull ahead by 1 round. And this has been a speedy game as well. It's one that feels like it hasn't been live for very long, but we've already been able to breeze our way through 7 rounds. So we're getting towards the halfway point here of the first half. We're really just running our way through things. Meanwhile, for Forza, they reinvest. Gokushima goes back onto the AWP. He's had it a couple of times. It hasn't been the most successful thing in the world, but that's just because he's been a little bit unlucky. We've seen some of the peaks where he's played it right, but then just been absolutely bodied by the connection from the AK. This time, breaks the smoke, clears through it, hits the shot onto Nikados, spotted towards Jail though. Oh no, Vince, repositioning at just the wrong time, and Nertz commits to the spray, blows them all away. That's a hat trick to be remembered. This has to be around for Heroic now.
That's an exquisite triple spray, especially the last one through the smoke. Having the clarity of mind to just spray in that perfect angle behind the pillar. So huge from Nerds. And one of the reasons I was saying, this is a guy that's now going to move through the gears. He could be picking up the ace, narrowly misses out, but he's done all the work for his teammates, and they better not lose from this point, or Nuts is going to be having some words, and he'll have every right to do so. So they'll scamper off with that bomb and Test S to go across the other side of the map on the B side, or the A side, pardon me, and get that plant down and lock this round into position. Result, though, in tow, waiting, anticipating a rotation down, but he's guessed the wrong angle, and I don't think the timing is going to favor him either. He's just going to miss Testis with the bomb. Had he have dropped the bomb out there, the round is suddenly in a very awkward spot for Heroic. They have enough time to go for the plant. But yeah, you saw glimpses there of why Nerds is one of those players you simply have to watch out for. But Result in a 1-on-2. Can he pull it off, Jacky?
Tall task for him. Has a few bells and whistles on his utility belt. Flash smoke. Needs to stick to his guns, though, literally here. Has the M4 in hand. Walks his way out past the pillar. Bomb about halfway ticked, the time dwindling away. And they're playing together. They want to listen till he taps the bomb, force the fight onto him. He smokes it, looks for the peek up. They're actually playing anti-flash, Vince. First frag's found. Oh, gets the second as well as he commits. Time is gone, so no pickup on the round overall, but does at least sail their economy down the river, forcing them to lose both of their weapons to pick that one back up. It's going to have to be a full rebuy for all the players, so it's going to be on a bit of a knife's edge for Heroic. But still, few more seconds on the clock there. That could have been a cheeky round for Resort. Just too little, too late.
Yeah, and you'd have heard the sound of Nert smashing his desk reverberate around the earth a few times if somehow that clutch had come to pass, because he was a man possessed. That triple spray down, switches to the AWP, narrowly misses out on the ace with the AWP as well. We did have a Nikodos dropping, I believe, so fingers crossed he'll be back nice and short. But yeah, this is living up to the kind of game we were expecting, Jacky. We were hoping this would be a close one, especially after how one-sided the first game was, and so far it's delivered.
Massively so, man. I completely agree with what you were saying as well. Nerds is one of those prospects that I am so happy to see him, still rising, still getting more opportunities. And especially now, it feels like this could be the one, Vince, where, for my money, I think he is potentially the biggest star on this new Heroic roster. I think he definitely has the ability here to really, really show what he can do over the next few years wearing the Heroic jersey. A natural talent, very smart way of approaching the game, brilliant in clutch rounds, and like we saw there as well, just the raw skill ceiling of what he can do with a rifle in his hands is through the roof. And he's a big stage player as well, Vince. He's one of those where it seems like it doesn't matter where he is. If he's at home playing from the bedroom, if he's on LAN in more of a pro league environment, or on a stage, he always seems like he maintains composure. And I think Nerds is going to have such a good career ahead of him into CS2, Vince.
100% agree with you. He's one of those guys that has been on the periphery for a while, and I think we're only just starting to see what he's truly capable of. I hope that this Heroic lineup is going to really allow him to excel and break from the shackles and really show us what he can do at the very top levels. I'm very excited about this Heroic lineup, honestly. I think this has the potential of being a legit top 10 team and going to a lot of tier 1 events, going into CS2 and really holding their own. I expect them to make the RMR. I expect them to do well in the RMR, but this is fairly early days, so I don't want to get ahead of myself, but he's definitely a talent that you expect to see for the next 4 or 5 years in a very, very good place. Fingers crossed for his career.
Completely. I think there's a lot to be said about Nerds. Okay, we're straight back to it. Never a dull moment between these two teams. It is all out aggression in the opening moments. That's what this is really divulged into here on Anubis. A few missed shots, a few blunders, but a connection with the HE blows away TNR and at least strikes down onto one man. So Forze lose out on the opening player. Mid-control's already been taken as well. I mean, Tessus is halfway up towards camera and Resort's the only player on A. Oh, Vince, this is shaping up to be a bit of a spooky one. At least they push out B, so they've got info. Nikodos just has to stay alive.
Oh, and he's failed. He's failed that task. And in doing so, has now traded up an AWP in the hands of the CTs. Now, the rest of Heroic have got aggressive and rummaged around the back of the CTs. They've got themselves a casualty in tow, but The damage may have already been done. This was putting a lot of pressure on Result. He's going to fade back into the shadows of the smoke. Perfect timing. Good spray for 2. He's done everything that Forze could have asked. He's given them a chance in a 2-on-2 retake now. And Shalfi's going to be coming down aggressively, maybe too over-exuberant on that approach, because Gokashima was in no position to help him out. The bomb was just being planted. That is a big head-scratcher moment here, but Shush should be shut down. He's waiting for that second player to show himself. Gokashima now, with that USP, going to trade up to the AK-47. He knows exactly where Tessis is. Flash does nothing towards the T. It's all down to who is faster on the trigger, and Gokashima tries to go for death from above, but loses in that trade, and Tessis takes it for a heroic.
Man. Oh, evenly matched. It felt like both of them basically fired at the same time there. But Tessis tackles him. Strings together a 4th round for heroic. And a tactical timeout is called in. The CTs now opting to ice the pace of the game, slow it down, and figure out what exactly they even do from this position. Because you've only got a couple rounds left. 3 to be precise, including this one, to round out the first half. And the money is relatively broken. You've got to decide what you want to do with it. And it seems like it's a collection of FAMASes being bought up. Few FAMI around here. Resort, Gokushima, and TNR donning one as well. So basically the full FAMAS collection with just Shalfi having enough money to spare for the M4. Utility-wise, it is so slim as well. 3 flashbangs and 2 smokes is all they have. It's everything they've got going into this. Round 10 goes live. Heroic definitely better armed in terms of the weaponry and utility. Still committing to leave mid as a huge open point, with most of their focus being on a B bomb site and only one player defending with the upgraded rifle towards A main, just playing behind the smoke that's been thrown in early. Bomb left further back from Heroic. They expected an info play. They expected the CTs to get aggressive, and they've read it right. CTs do push out. Ooh, tight on the timing though, and no joy for Nerds.
That's a very good point that you highlight as well, like the complete lack of mid presence from Heroic in these last few rounds. That trajectory that smoke has given Nerds' position away now, but is the FAMAS good enough? It is. Oh, and Tessis had to do better. The AK baiting Nerds into a position where if he gets 2 from that's completely fine. Him dying is unacceptable. And that funnels the rest of Heroic into a 3-player stack on the approach, all in a bottleneck. It's only Kicksan that can do anything from there with his Galil. Nice second frag, but there's too many CTs to watch out for. And, I mean, you go back to that Tessis play, he's a very capable AK player. You know this guy is more than capable of putting down some serious digits. Him whiffing out on that approach, I can't understand how that's happened. 2 FAMASes push, and best Nerds and Tessis, 2 of the best players on Heroic, just so easily.
No, that is weird. That is a weird one. You've got to be ready for it. They read it like a book as well. In terms of the setup for the T's there, they knew exactly how to deal with that round. They just didn't. They just didn't shoot hard enough. That's the only real answer to explain what went wrong. Really quite bizarre. It's another one as well where you look at things and, you know, some people these days, Vince, they absolutely despise the FAMAS, don't like buying it, don't like using it. The FAMAS packs a punch in CS2. The stats haven't changed, but something about the way it feels with Subtic, it really can ruin teams. And Forze just being able to use it very proficiently there. You know, MP9, absolutely brilliant if you want to abuse it up close. But if you need a bit of range, bit of distance to work with, the FAMAS is definitely a viable option. And they make themselves famous with the FAMAS on that one. Now, this is either a bit of an existence timeout, where Heroic are just using the downtime in a round, where they just want to be able to talk without wasting a pause. They know they haven't invested any money into it, so they can just go for a bit of a slow walk around, have a chat, figure out what to do, then go for a late play. Or the game wasn't live, but it seems like it was a bit of an existence pause on this one. Gokushima's going to bait them in, and Resort's going to look to farm the cash. Only one, though. Oh, timing, Vince. He's got caught with his pants around his ankles.
Shalfi's here, though. Surely shuts this one down. There's no armor to play against. Aim punch a problem, but also he's going to just shred through them that much quicker. Hot knife through butter. 30 seconds. Bomb's been dropped back down again. Nerds does get the FAMAS kill. A 2-on-2. Out of nowhere, seemingly, but Teeny is going to put this back in advantage of the CTs. Yes, it's a post-plant. There's a smoke there that Tessis can retrieve the FAMAS. And he's waiting for his eyes to become clear so he can start to remove some more heads. Teeny is the next casualty. Kellyan stuck on the site as he smokes it off. But that was a smoke from Tessis' hands. He's trying to bait the CT out to the open, and spins and pivots in for the double headshot. That's precisely why I was so confused and surprised why he whiffed in the previous round. This guy's aim is on point, and Forze have just been destroyed. That's daylight robbery from Heroic.
It was a round with just Glocks. Nothing invested, no money spent, no paper laid out on a table. They took full use of the clock to figure out what they wanted to do. See if Forze would waste utility, see if they would overextend. But when push came to shove, they hit their shots, and Forze gave them a small opportunity. Timing, committing to throwing the Molotov rather than keeping the gun out meant that they could barrage their way in towards the bomb site, and one by one, they find success with the FAMAs. Heroic, bleeding ahead now, pulling into first place. This was a neck-and-neck game, Vince. The rounds are being traded very, very quickly between these two. Now Heroic have actually started to find themselves in a bit more of a comfortable position where they're going to be happy to play from on the forward foot. Kickstand waiting as well on the lurk towards Connector here. If they go for an info play, they're walking right into the meat grinder.
Yeah, he is going to punish them. It's about timing, though, because once that smoke clears, he's still looking to his left constantly. Spray was a bit off, but the MP9 is going to afford him a second chance. Gets caught with a molly out. And Shalfie needs to be careful. He got tagged heavily. I think it was from Nikados on the approach back into the site. Molly's not going to do anything to him, and now Nertz is on the prowl again. 13 kills, just shy of 120 ADR. He has been a man possessed in this half. HE could touch down onto Shalfie. That's the kill. Looking for the second. If Tierney falls, there's a lot of problems coming up for Forze. 35 seconds left on the clock, but there is a wraparound from Gokushima. He could potentially win this round for his team, but he's gone down without much of a fight. Has forced away the attention of Tierney, and now Result is stuck at the back on CT side, and there's a smoke in his eyes. Only one player. There's a bullet away from death. Nertz and Nikados, although low, still plenty of health across the board on the T side, and they're slowly whittling away the HP bars of Result. 18 left now. It's going to be an 8-4 first half in favor of Heroic. A super back and forth encounter, Jacky. One of those where you could argue that Forze could even be in the lead at this point, and yet Heroic are going to have a vast lead. I'm not sure what Result's waiting for, a potential flank. He has to go for this. It's the last round of the half, Chief. You're not going to be saving your weapon going into that second half.
It's a HLTV game, Vince, and he's 11 for 5. He wants those stats. That's literally all it is. He's playing for rating, Vince. Look at him. He'll save this one out. Man wants to get himself a good rating at the end of the game, it seems. Okay, so 4 rounds of difference. I do completely agree with what you're saying there as well. You know, this is a game that, honestly, the scoreline could be flipped. The scoreline could be even closer because there's been so many clutch rounds. So many rounds that are also hanging in the balance where you're looking at basically 2v2s where there's nothing to play with for either of these teams. They're just on pistols. In 2 rounds where both of them were traded in that manner, where you've won it off the back of heroics with pistols. It's silly. It's silly the amount of shenanigans we saw there. So what's the second half going to have in store for us? That's the big question mark. Let's find out. We get into the pistol. Heroic on the buy going for 2 sets of Julies. 1 P250 and a single flashbang, but it's the USP that strikes off the back of the peak towards B main. Map control being claimed though, Vince, as the T's are already up through camera.
That's a lovely shot from Tess as well, wasn't it? Mid-air plucks him out. Nikos now on the approach has been spotted using that pillar as cover, but he's going to get sideswiped. There is a second player in amongst it though, those 2 Julies. Now Kicksound's gone down. It was Shush that I was highlighting, but he's done nothing with these Julies either. Oh, that's a rough pistol round if you're Heroic. Forze looking very confident. You wouldn't think it from that first half, but showing us that they may be down, but they're certainly not out. And when you consider, by the way, the kill tallies, which is always an interesting element of it for me, especially when a team is behind multiple rounds. If I covered the score up and said to you, like, which team is leading based off how many kills each team has, I bet most people would say Forze are in the lead. 3 players over 10. You have 12, 10, and 11. Only Nertz is over 10, and everyone else is, like, pretty far away from him. So it goes to show just how close these rounds have been, Jacky, in terms of stats.
Oh, down to the wire. Massively so. It really has been the difference of 1 or 2 players, 1 or 2 small intricacies in a lot of these rounds. It's a bit wild. Ooh, okay. Bit of a freeze. Hopefully it'll be all right. They want us to take in the detail on this one. As obviously there's not really been much of an investment. Heroic don't have any money going into it. So they've just gone for the wolf pack, make a tank inside a connector, and hope for the best. They are going to wrap off. They leave the bomb site after contact was found. Mid's been a huge opening for Forza into both of these. They've been able to just quite confidently waltz their way in. And there should be another one that they take basically for free. If you're heroic, obviously you've not invested anything into it, but you might not want to feed the beast. You know there's a Mac 10 in play, as one of you've already perished to it. You're trying to maximize not giving these frags to the gun with a high kill reward.
And all 4 players looking around mid and CT respectively. Galil just sprays down, so at least it's not to the Mac 10 he's just highlighted. So the round is going to go the way of Forze. Unsurprisingly, they keep all 5 players alive, which is just what the doctor ordered. I was just doing some quick maths before. It's about 40-ish kills on Heroic, by the way. And as you can see from Forze, they're 2 rounds behind, and they're around 50 to 55 kills. So it goes to show that the rounds that Heroic have picked up on that first half have been scrappy, close, indecisive, nail-biters. And Forze are still very much in this game as the smokes starting to find their way over onto the B side of the map. Kickstand holding into middle. It seems like they're taking a leaf out of Heroic's book here, not really aggressing too much on mid. Jacky, it's a bit of a confusing one because I feel like in the open qualifiers, every time we casted Anubis, there was tons of mid control on both sides.
It's a big part of the map. It really is, you know, it's one of those where if you control mid, you can double back, you can go for B plays, you can wrap off. It just gives you a lot more room to fake and make side takes, which is why it's interesting, because normally it kind of is a bit of meta where you do want to take at least the lip of middle, so you have this open lane area to fight with. Then you can always back off, instantly drop down, wrap in through con. Haven't seen too much of it. I wonder if it will change now, at least with the rifles coming out. But for the most part, everyone's just been willing to play the extremities, just set up on B and A and leave mid open. Here it's a raw B take, smokes up, perfect placement, block off all the classic lines of sight. They push on in. Nerds reads the room perfectly and hits the shot onto Kellen, takes him down. Shalfie replies with a HE, spam through the smoke for Tessus, but no success just yet. Bombs planted, and Resort takes the fight towards B water, but cannot claim any of those kills.
Atiene is still there, however. That HE may have just given his position away. Hence the flash into the peak. Shush, though, can't go too wide. Needs some backup. It's a 1-for-1, but Shush takes a lot of damage. It's probably not going to be good enough here for Heroic, but they're starting to swarm and swell the site. And Shalfie the wrong side of the smoke as Heroic going for that full-on defuse. They have to trade out the defuse, though, because the player without the kit went in for it first, and that's going to cost them dearly. Testis has to stick this. The full defuse comes through. There's not enough time. Even though Shalfie may go down, it's at the cost of the round for Heroic. And they just flubbed their lines. Kicksan had a kit. Testis didn't, and Testis went for the defuse.
Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear. Spoke spam as well, absolutely ruined them, taking so much damage onto that one. But so many small moments there. Again, the pressure clearly mounting on this one. Communication becoming an issue. Round 16 goes live, and Heroic now are massively on the back foot. Just really pistols. Kicksan invests into the M4 as well, so he's bought himself down to just $200. Everyone else sat on about 2K in terms of the money to play with. Okay, 2-player setup at middle. At least if he perishes, someone else can pick it up, and you can try and keep the rifle in the round. But this is a bit of a risky one. A lot of money being put up on the table here into the 16th. And for Forza, all you've got to do is play defensive. I mean, Shalfie's in a great position for this as well. Should hit the shot and does. Delivers. Ratioing with the AK-47. 570 is going to deal damage back. The Pistol King of Nerds takes him down and upgrades onto the Kalashnikov in Connector.
Super back and forth game, isn't it? 2 M4s and AKs. Or 2 rifles, I should say. 1 apiece. Are in the collective arsenal of Heroic. Molly Down's back at Pillar, going to be drawing out that position. Shush had the 5-7, got aim punched, and finished off quickly from Result. Gokishima goes in. The Testis has been unchecked. Deaglan had 2 quick-fire kills, puts down the weakened Shalfie, and gives Nertz a springboard to maybe work off. And we know this guy, you give him an inch and he'll snatch away a mile real quick from you. And he has the backstab on Titania. Position's now been compromised, but down into a 1v1 post-plant. I believe he's just picked up a HE as well. Now, Result's position should be a solid one. Tosses down the nade, maybe anticipating that smoke could be up a bit longer to try and draw away a little bit of fire. And he has to get a move on because he has no kit. And that is going to be a problem. He has a good idea as to where this player could be, but there's so many angles that he has to be cognizant of. And at some point, he's going to have to close his eyes, cross his fingers, and hope for the best. He decided to go all in on the main play, and Result shows his hand and takes the head off. 4 rounds on the bounce, 2 4s, really applying the pressure now.
Game starting to change now. T-side momentum firmly in their hands. Ooh, putting them on ice as well. Tactical timeout called in. Going to be slowing down the game and taking a moment of respite. Fun thing is, in situations like this where you've won 4 rounds on a spin and you call in a pause, sometimes the opponent can second guess what you're talking about, what you want to change, and you can continue to do the same plays you have been doing without much of a difference because you just leave them in their own head. So room for some mind games here. We'll see what the call is, what changes, if maybe mid-control is going to be a little bit more on the cards. It was a bit more defensive into the prior round. They held their angles and Heroic played into them, but still a thimble away from Heroic actually claiming that one. The difference could be Nikodos has been quite quiet. He's only got 5 frags to his name. He does have the AWP. He's got the scope. He's got the big green gun. And he's taking it towards B. Okay, there is a potential here where he might actually have a nice amount of impact for them. They just go for the B canals battle as well. Uh-oh, Vince, the off-angle play. Nertz has no idea, and he's been knocked over. Meanwhile, the rest of the T's are barreling into the bomb site.
That's a great flash from Nikodos' perspective, and he goes back in for more. Tess is there to help him out. They may have lost the first player, but they're bouncing back with authority. And connecting left and right is Nikodos. He's had a very quiet game so far. Uncharacteristically, we were talking him up, saying how much of a stat beast he's been in these qualifiers. Well, finally showing us why. And that is finally Heroic getting some success on their CT side. It took them 4 rounds. Finally got it done. But because of how scrappy these rounds have been again, Jacky, 4s after 4 unanswered rounds lose, and their economy is dead. They've got 2 rifles. That's it. That is so unlike the T-half. You normally win 4 rounds on T-half. You've got tons of surplus cash. Not the case here.
Not at all. Not at all. The fact is going down to so many small 1v1s, clutch rounds that are burning all their money to barely limp their way through. But the rounds are a hot commodity. That's what matters most.
Uh-oh.
For Heroic, ooh, okay, hang on. Looks like we're all right. For Heroic as well, man, you need to maintain what you've just found, right? You've got 1 round. Got to link a couple together. And Nikodos, how dynamic is he going to be with this warp? We saw towards the B site, hit the mark, hit his shots, played it smart. What's he going to get up to now? Stationing him towards A could be pretty impactful if they go for a late round play. Seems like they're bubbling a lot of the pressure on middle though, Vince.
Yeah, they are, for sure. And it makes sense as well. Like, when you've got a lack of utility, maybe just try and put all of your players together and try and force and brute force your way through mid. It's not really an area of the map that we've seen tons of aggression being put into on either side of the coin. So Shalfie going to be taking point for his teammates. Slowly peeking in here. Shush has the angle. Doesn't need to get the kill. That flash is going to give away a lot. Kicks down with 1 kill. He'll be disappointed he didn't get more from that position because a 1-for-1 trade and a rifle being picked up now gives opportunities, but Nertz, as ever, on point. Eagle eye trained towards his adversaries. This crossfire is looking really dangerous for the T's. And if it wasn't bad enough, now the bodies are hitting the floor, and they're hitting the floor too quickly. They hemorrhage out, 10-8 the score, and 4s have pretty much nothing left to buy with. So Heroic on the fast track to a potential victory here in our best of 1.
Those 4 rounds on the spin might mean nothing if Heroic can maintain this sort of pace. The game really did change when Nikodos got the scope in his hands. T-side buy, you can even call it that, is just the investment into a single deagle. 1 purchase, that's it. That's all they had in the coin purse to be able to afford. And they're going back to basics with it. Gokushima already walked his way in through the smoke, so had confidence. No tag from the nade as well. That's huge. They won't know how close they are, Vince. If they can hit the shot, it could make a world of difference. They go barreling in. Kicksam with a first spray control, lands onto the second, out of bullets and out of luck, as Resort will lay claim to him. Ooh, near miss on the flick from Nikados, but he won't make the same mistake on the pistol as he punishes all three of them. And Nikados absolutely demolishes them. The bulldozer on re-entry is Heroic will be able to pick up their 11th.
This is why he is such a scary prospect. He basically had all of his impact in that round with a USP of all weapons. He can do it with the AWP, he can do it with the rifles, he can do it with the USP, and even when he's having a rough game, I think he'd be the first person to admit he's a very sort of humble, even-keeled kind of guy that's very honest with himself. This has been a rough day at the office for him in this best of one, and yet he's still pulling up big kills and big moments, really awakening on this second half. Forze, in the meanwhile, though, back to the drawing board for them. They're pretty much into their last chance saloon here, Jacky. One more buy. They lose this. Heroic will have 4 match points and a broken T economy. So the importance of this round is huge, and they just walk through the smoke. No flashes, just the HG was tossed in, but then Shush decides to go walking, and he gets punished too. A 1-for-1 trade early doors on the A main side. That's such a head scratcher.
Oh, mate. Ring around the rosies as well here. Oh, trying the best to get the upper hand, and Nerds will find it. Denies control at middle. So these pushes working somewhat for them. Tessus as well, bleeding his whole way out round the back and being able to control towards B main. Rest of the squad can start to wrap off. You're going to have all the information in the world soon about this one. He'll be relaying that time is tight. He's got B main control. Shouldn't be anyone here. A bit of a bait play though. Not committing to A. Even if they do flank back, their only avenue of attack is connector, and Nikados is watching it. He's scoped in, Vince, just has to deliver damage with a scope.
Yeah, you doubt he's going to miss too many opportunities, especially with a slow peak like that from Shalfie. Nikados may be overextending his welcome, but he did have a good angle with the AWP. Information gathered, they've smoked off main side, also Molly out temple. Damage done though, Gokushima with a spray through the smoke. That was a clean frag, but no second where that came from. And now Nerds alongside Kicksan, 34 kills between the two of them. Are trying to clutch against Kellyanne, who's been smoked off. Nerds has the kit, has also at his disposal a flashbang. Kellyanne's just laid in wait. Now that smoke is going to start to dwindle away. It's going to dissipate. He has a chance here, but he has to kill Nerds quickly, and Nerds will not miss. He is so on point right now. He's had a great game once again on Anubis, and that is going to be 4 match points. So the good news for Forze, they didn't get completely manhandled in that round. They got a post plant, so they do at least have more rifles again. But it feels like the general ebb and flow of this game has just gone away from them now, Jacky. All that momentum they picked up with the first 4 rounds has basically just disappeared.
Yeah, they were bopping, man. They were grooving coming into the second half. And the longer it's gone on, the more the CTs of Heroic have looked to really rule with an iron fist, and there hasn't been much of an opportunity for response. Forza as well, so unlucky in, again, all of these clutch rounds. Something that we saw rinse and repeat throughout the first half is just how tight the game was, going down to 1 versus 2s, 2 versus 2s, and resulting with near misses for either of our teams. Now, the luck of the draw seems to be favouring Heroic quite consistently, and Forza just can't get it over that finish line. If they want to bring this back, the only way to win it now would be in an overtime situation. So, has to be flawless, has to be 4 rounds on the trot, need to bridge the gap, tie it 12-12, then we can talk about them having the opportunity to win it. But now, Heroic just looking to close the game. Nikados, he's been roaming on the AWP. This time they station him towards the A site, playing on a bait setup behind a pillar. Gokushima runs in, but that's the bait working perfectly. Nikados hits the shot on the AWP and takes down another man, playing on the edge of the smoke as well. Is he ready for the peak though? The nade will give away the audio cue. Resort walks on in. He's caught with his pants turned. Nearly does find the opportunity to flick, but falls, Vince. They've got an opening on the A site.
Really well played from Resalt. He saw that grenade was thrown deep rather than shallow, so it seemed like they didn't have any idea he was there, and he pounced. He heard him run back to the side. So well played from Resalt. I can't understate just how solid that play is. Heads up, IQ, and gives his team a real chance to at least close off 1 of 4 rounds required for OT. Nerds, though, ever on the prowl, tons of cash available to him. They can easily rebuy into the next round. There's no reason why he shouldn't at least dip his toe in the pool and see if he likes the temperature or not. That Molotov, though, is going to give his position away, and I don't think that's worked out as he was hoping for, as he tossed it to bank off the wall, but it's just kind of stayed in a neutral position, and therefore he's going to have to pull the plug and save. It's a bitter pill to swallow if you're heroic, but they're going to have 3 more opportunities with a lot of cash behind them. Obviously, Nerds or Nikodos can buy the AWP and try and rock that into the next round. Well played by Forze, though. Really, really solid work from Resalt, who's been a consistent factor, a consistent threat on this Forza team. But we go again. Jacky, just to pick your brains a little bit while we're waiting for the buy and everything to come through here. Maybe a tactical timeout will be deployed again because Forze's money's not great. But what are your thoughts about Heroic here in this particular match? Like, do you look at this? Obviously, it's an early stage situation for them. They're not a fully fledged roster for a long time. But are you looking at this thinking, yeah, this is a team that can go the distance in like top 10? Or are you maybe a little bit more skeptical in their prospects going forward?
I think pound for pound, talent-wise, there's definitely a lot of room for him to be able to contest. You know, top 10, the thing is these days with CS2 as well, is it feels like it's such a fine margin between everyone that's in there. It's a bit of a bubble where, you know, it really can be a matter of who's on it that day to really sort of trade results in that. Breaking in, they're a little bit further behind, but the only blessing you've got is obviously so many teams were completely just sort of flat rolled and reset off the back of the player break. So I think experience-wise, they can catch up. Talent-wise, they can definitely land some big blows. It's just how quickly they gel and how far they make it. I think if we see them get to the RMR events, we're going to get the truest test of them, right? Because you'll get them on land. We'll see how they play. They'll have a couple more officials under their belt. They'll have longer to gel as a team because obviously it didn't really come together that long ago. It feels like it was only sort of December time. So I think there's potential, Vince. We'll just have to see how they look at the RMR, which is where they're finding themselves if they can keep finding victories here in the closed qualifier. And at the minute, they're a couple frags away from guaranteeing their opening game win against Forza if they can lay Gokushima and Tanar to rest. They're the last 2 that remain. Ooh, audio cue is going to be given over as well. So Shush will know there is a man lurking outside of his bomb site.
Brutal starts the round, isn't it? Like Forze, they had a tactical timeout from Heroic and try and breathe a little bit and be on the same page. You lose 3 players instantly from one Shush spray down. Really well played by him. Another player's had a bit of a quiet game so far, but Shush is stayed in position. He's on the wrong side of the wall as far as Gokushima's concerned. He'll be peeking in. Ooh, takes that bullet to the leg. That's the only reason he's still able to survive. Molotov down to the back of the pillar. There's going to be 2 players staring at T-Nia. Surprised he even got 1 out of that position, all things considered. Kicksan did punish him, but now Gokushima on 3 HP gets finished and finalized by Nikodos, and Heroic take the 13-9 victory.